How has Japan changed you as a person?
I realized like how much I've actually changed.
I was a very social person before I came here, and after living in Japan.
How long have you been in Japan?
A long time.
Hey guys, how you doing? I'm Takashi from Japan. So today I'm going to interview foreigners in Japan. How has Japan changed you as a person? I interview people who've been living in Japan more than 10 years. So basically interview Japan experts. Okay, let's get started. Thank you for your time. Where are you from?
I'm from Switzerland.
How long have you been in Japan?
A little bit more than a year.
What do you do?
I did language school, but now I'm working for my visa to be accepted so I can work in a travel agency.
From Canada, 7 years. I work in marketing.
I'm from America. I've been in Japan now for 9 years.
9 years.
9 years last week. I'm a product designer.
I'm from Orlando, Florida, in America. In total, more than 10 years, yeah. Right now, it's been 11. So I'm a musician, and occasionally I make YouTube content.
I'm from India, a little more than a year. I'm doing my master's right now.
I'm from London. I've been in Japan for 4.5 years now, and I do video production work in Tokyo. I work with like YouTubers and other companies and stuff, and yeah.
How has Japan changed you as a person?
I have become more shy. I was already shy before, but here you have a lot of privacy and it's good for if you're introverted. Like in the restaurant, you sit alone. In the train, it's normal to be alone. You don't get confronted by strangers. So it's kind of like if you're shy, you don't really come out of your shell, kind of.
Right.
And also, like, it's kind of the society allows you to be shy as well, you know? Everyone's shy here, so, you know, even Japanese people, right?
I actually didn't really notice I changed that much until I went back to Canada this summer.
Oh, okay.
And then I realized like how much I've actually changed. Just I learned how to respect people, how to respect things. Like before I used to just have stuff, I like throw it, whatever. Now, like when I went back, I place things, or I'm very gentle with things. I care about the people around me more. Like mawari no hito. I don't want to do things that will bother other people. I learned over the 7 years of just it being like ingrained into you, whether it be in society or with people you are, or just seeing everything around you. You just tend to become more considerate and respectful of other people's things, because I wouldn't want someone doing that to me. So it made me more compassionate.
That's hard because I've spent 10 years here. So when I was 22 versus 32, that's a lot of growth and a lot of maturity. We give a lot of crap to English teachers. Sometimes I'm like, oh, is this a waste of time? Like, it's just kind of like a job because I want to be in Japan for a visa. But stepping back and thinking about it, working with kids gave me so much patience, and it taught me to be respectful, to be open-minded about things. And I think that experience is invaluable. I know, English teaching sucks sometimes, but I mean, hey, English teachers, you're doing a really important job.
Yeah, that's a great question. I think growing up in America specifically, I was always kind of introverted, but America's kind of like an aggressively extroverted place. They always tell the kids have an opinion, speak your mind, take up space, live out loud, which I think is great in context. But, then the extreme is that people are just saying their opinion no matter what the circumstances. And I think for me, I struggled with that a little bit in America. I was always pushing myself to be a bit more extroverted, which kind of came off as annoying because it wasn't who I naturally was. So living in Japan for a long time kind of enabled me to get back in touch with my introvertedness, living with intention and having intentional interactions, as opposed to just thinking, I have to have a bunch of friends, I have to go out every week and I have to do these things. Be able to individually be introverted and think, okay, this is what's best for me. This is what I want to do. And I like the fact that in Japan, people tend to I don't want to say ignore other people, but benevolently ignore other people. People in Japan give everyone emotional space to do what they want to do, but they'll still help you, if something happens. But there's not a pressure to really have to make small talk. I have to always have a smile on your face. I have to always be like, hey man, how's it going? What's up? You can kind of be a bit more low key and relaxed here. And I like that. I became more comfortable being introverted. I was always introverted, but then living in Tokyo specifically enabled me to really develop a sense of being okay with that.
In a good way, I think I've become more punctual. Yeah, maybe I have a few meetings back in India, then I'm always on time, probably before time. But on Zoom meetings, I say, okay, Indians are a bit late. But I think that's in a good way, that I've become very disciplined and I'm always on time and I respect other people's time as well. And if I want to say that if there's something that has changed that I missed, that I wish that didn't change, was I was a very social person before I came here. And after living in Japan for especially in Kyoto for 1 year, I think I've become more quiet, more reserved as a person and not that talkative, maybe more of an introvert.
I think the main one that I can point out is that I became like a lot more extroverted compared to what I was in London. In Japan, people keep to themselves a lot. So, you have to be the one to reach out if you want to make friends.
Have you adopted any Japanese custom or practice into your daily life?
Oh man, I've said this before, but like, yo, if you don't drink, it's kind of hard to make friends here. I'm gonna tell you. Like a lot of the activities, like you don't have to drink, it's fine. But I said like a lot of the activities in Japan have to do with drinking. You go rock climbing, what are you gonna do after? You're gonna go drinking. You're gonna go watch like a movie after you're gonna go drinking. Like
Even when you picnic.
you go to a picnic, you go drinking, right? Everyone's drinking out here. Like that's like obviously like if you drink too much, it's bad. But like a lot of it is centered around that. It's that culture, right? Even in Korea, it's the same thing. Even if you don't drink, participate in those things. And like no one's gonna force you to drink and be like, oh, drink. Like have your little oolong tea and drink, but like participate in those kind of parties and don't be surprised when like, oh, we're going drinking. And don't be like, no, I don't drink. They're not gonna force you to drink.
You show that you're willing to drink a little bit.
Or you're willing to be a part of it. You're willing to be a part of this thing because Japan's all about group, right? And like you don't want to be that one guy who orders like something different, but at the same time, it's like, oh, well, he doesn't actually drink. So like, let's just get him an oolong hai or whatever. And I've seen that happen. I've done enkais where some of the teachers, like they don't drink alcohol. They'll just have the oolong hai and it's fine. It has a lot to do with caring about other people. If that's one piece of advice, always be considerate of the people around you and how they might feel. One thing that I did change though was washing my hands every time I got home.
You didn't do that in Canada?
No, we don't. Like,
Oh,
even
really?
like, yeah, it's not a thing. Like, I don't know what it is. Maybe it's because of the pandemic or whatever. But like, I'd see my sister or my brother-in-law when I was in Canada. Like, people come home, they just go straight to the kitchen and they start touching food. I'm like, bro, like, you're not gonna wash your hands. Like, you just touched a car. You just touched it. Yeah. Unless your hands are like you touch something dirty, like it's not really in there. So like now it's like every time I come home, I just wash my hands. Another thing is like now I never go on the bed unless I've gone in the ohuro. Like I used to before, like even in Canada, like you just chill on your bed, like with your clothes. You went to the mall or whatever, you just go on your bed, you just chill, whatever, go on your phone. You do that here, like I'm getting mad at people who come to my house or whatever. It's like, yo, get off the bed. Like you gotta like, no. Like, so I learned that.
I think for Japanese people, the bed is like sacred place. Yeah. Like you cannot go unless you take a shower or something. Yeah.
Exactly. Also that too, like I used to be a morning shower person. Here, like I've been here for 7 years, like take a shower at night. And it makes so much more sense. You have to take a shower at night. Like why would you be dirty and sweaty, especially in summer, and then go into your bed? It's like, it's nasty.
Yes, I just recently went back to Switzerland and I realized I started bowing all the time. Like the car stopped and I was like, and my mom was like, what are you doing? And also in the store, you automatically, this bowing, it doesn't go away. And also I feel like here you become more aware of other people around you and your surroundings. So like in the train, when it's packed, you make sure that your bag is not disturbing other people. And I realized in Switzerland, nobody else does it. Like we arrived at the airport, we went into this train and it was a bit packed and the people were so annoyed and they were like, and you're just like, oh, okay, we're not in Japan anymore.
Having a Japanese family anywhere, even in Japan or outside of Japan, you're gonna bring you're gonna bring some like practices and customs.
So your husband is Japanese, right?
Hi, Nihonjin desu. He's Japanese. It's pretty atypical. Like we take our shoes off in the house. I've gotten really good at cooking rice. Besides that, I don't know, between my husband and I feel like we're kind of like, I wouldn't say an Americanized couple, but we're not really atypical Japanese marriage. It's very balanced. So it's not really heavy on one side or the other. Like Valentine's Day, we do an American style, for example. But Hatsumode, my husband also is like, oh, let's go to the temple. He always drags me to Mount Takayama as such a hike on New Year's. I think it comes with marriage too. It's just compromising of cultures. So I think we find it pretty balanced, yeah.
I love planning, meeting friends in advance. Like in America, like, you might meet someone that same day, which is cool because, the way things work. But I really love, like, making plans with my friends like a month or so in advance because it's like we're both taking time out of our schedules to, dedicate one day to meeting. So I love that.
I've started drinking a lot of tea and hot water. I don't know if that's a thing. And also taking a bath before going to sleep.
Business culture was the big one. I came from a business background in London, and business culture in Japan, like America, London, whatever, completely different. And having to adjust to that, having to adjust to how you talk to people, how you do business, what is actually important, like kachikan, like values and stuff, they're like completely different. Also, what is seen as work and what is seen as good work and stuff like that. That definitely had like a lot of adjustment that I had to make there.
When you came to Japan, is there anything you couldn't accept or you couldn't understand in terms of Japanese culture or the people's mindset?
I think that's something that I still don't accept now, that if they're way too polite, like if you expect something out of someone, it would be nicer if you could convey it. But I understand like it's quite difficult for among Japanese people as well. They don't really express what they really feel, and sometimes it becomes really difficult as a person. So we are told that we should go and approach people if you want to talk to them because they're very shy. But sometimes I don't realize that if they're really shy, or maybe sometimes they don't want to entertain or don't want to talk. So I would not know the difference, like when they are not in the mood or when they are just shy and they're okay with you talking. So I think, yeah, maybe expressing their feelings is something that I don't understand, because we are very expressive. We're very loud as well in a good way.
Maybe I didn't expect Japanese people to be as shy as they would be. I mean, I met some Japanese girls randomly, and I never knew if they're just friendly or if they would want to be friends. I mean, they said, let's exchange social media, let's meet up, but it never really happened after that. So you're never sure if they are just friendly or if they really want to hang out. Yeah, and I thought when I would come here, I would just see through that and I would figure out how to make friends with Japanese people, but it's still hard. I think the world is also changing a little bit and Japanese people become more westernized, I think. And that's like, I think they know how to talk to Westerners better these days.
One of the things that I realized was like Japanese bureaucracy, like to do like all the forms and everything, it was super frustrating. You gotta realize that like Japan is a country with a lot of people. There has to be some kind of order to things. And I appreciate that they are taking that effort and care to do things. And you kind of realize that in Japanese culture, like everywhere around you, like Japanese people really take to care to like do things thoroughly, do things properly, blah, blah, blah. It can get annoying sometimes, but that's the price of having such high quality service.
I think the thing I couldn't accept is, and I think this goes against a lot of people's like stereotype of Japan, is like how low technology we are when it comes to daily living.
Yeah, I know.
And I think people who don't live in Japan don't understand that. And because tourists who come in, you stay around like the big touristy areas, and that has like lots of fun things to do, lots of bright shining lights, and that looks super techy and impressive. But when you're living life on the daily, you have to think, well, the majority of people who make policies and technology are older people making them for other older people in Japan. So they can't really update a lot of their like, cash only systems are slowly being updated. And also just like bank books, the banking systems, the forms for everyone. But if you take away all of that, you exclude an entire like elderly population who only knows how to work with that. So that's not being considerate. So I understand why. If you're really thinking about moving here, whatever the reason is, find your community, find your people, and network. Even if you're not social or you're kind of worried about your Japanese level, it doesn't matter. Finding your community here can be so important. Because Japan's a great place to live, but be realistic and just prepare yourself. It's a great city, but it's like any other place on earth too.
You can be lonely as well.
Yeah, it gets really lonely here. It can be. So find your people.
Yeah, in fact, I think there's like 2 or 3 things I'll probably never understand or accept. And like, that sounds pretty heavy, but like, obviously number 1 is natto. No matter how long I live here, I can't eat natto. Like, I know it's healthy. I know it's good for you. I don't like neba things. Number 2, corn on pizza. I can't. I'm sorry. I don't like corn on pizza. And then I think maybe not so much about people, but I think maybe like a living thing would be the lack of centralized air conditioning and heating. So for example, summers here are brutal. So if you're at home, you might have air conditioning in one room. You go to the other room and it's still hot in that room. Or gyakuni in the winter, you might have heating in one room, but then you go to another room and you're freezing because you're not wearing outside clothes. So I think for me, like no matter how long I live here, that's always going to be something I have to get used to every year.
Summer, like all you're going to see in my wardrobe is just white t-shirts in summer.
Why?
Like it's so hot. All you do is sweat. Now it's October. It's a little bit warmer. I can wear the black one and I don't sweat doesn't show up as much. Any month apart from June, July or August is like completely fine. It's great.
Do you speak Japanese?
Yes, maybe a little bit.
How did you learn? Can you answer in Japanese?
カナダでなんか日本語の授業を受けて2年間で勉強しました。で、それで日本人の女の子と付き合ってて、その日本人とよく日本語喋ったり英語してたんですけど、なんか日本に来た時に喋れなかった日本語は、私はね。
日本2年間カナダで勉強してたけど。
カナダで勉強したけど、実際の日本語は全然違う。なんか喋り方もなんか全く分からなくて、毎日アプリで実習I know っていうアプリ。I know っていうアプリはなんか単語アプリ。で、その単語アプリはなんか例文もついてるし、その例文をシャドーインして、フレーズとかを言いやすくなる。
そのアプリは良かったですか？
よかった。おすすめ。おすすめ。
No sponsored, but
Not sponsored. I know.co.jp. And then also ワニカニ。
大体独学で、学んだ。ロンドンに行った時、日本語学校3ヶ月ぐらい行ってやめたね。なんかクラスはちょっと遅いと思って、なんかずっと独学に変わった。元気1と元気2っていうテキストでずっと独学で、それから文法を学んでインプットしながら、テレビとかラジオとか、音楽もなんかそれ聞きながら見ながら、なんか文法とか言葉とか気づけるかどうかって、それで確認した。ずっとその時に勉強した時、アウトできなかった日本人、周りに日本人いなかったって、ずっと毎日12時間のインプットしてた。
日本に来る前にちょっとアメリカで日本語勉強してた。やはりなんか東京に住みたくて、東京のメインの言語はやっぱり日本語ので、だから日本語学ばなきゃ。
any advice to those who just started learning Japanese?
If you're learning Japanese, I definitely recommend watching like Japanese dramas, maybe more than anime. I think anime has like fantasy Japanese words, a lot of onomatopoeias, and like words that only exist in anime. But if you watch like Japanese drama toka, they have more like nichicho teki na nihongo, like everyday Japanese. So watch dramas for sure.
Definitely find something you enjoy. You know, learning any language is long and difficult. I'm learning every day. Like, I'm still not at a level that I'm happy with. 絶対ペラペラじゃない。なんかバラバラ日本語使ってる。But that's the thing. I enjoy that long journey. So the fact that I enjoy it lets me continue. Definitely find something you enjoy watching, reading, a textbook you like. Lots of people recommend this textbook, that textbook, and try to use it and whatever. For me, I just found a load of TV shows that I really enjoyed. And so, 12 hours of input, 10 hours, whatever, it never felt like any work or it wasn't difficult.
Learn Japanese formally, at least a little bit, so you understand grammar. If not, I would say read a book called Take Kim's Grammar Guide to Japanese. And I would say, like, the only reason I was able to excel over my other classmates in Japanese, because it's very difficult, is not to think about how to say something in Japanese, but why you say something in Japanese. So it's almost linguistics, but that book, Take Kim's Grammar Guide, it teaches you about the Japanese mindset and how they think and why they would say certain things, rather than, oh, ni is this or ni is that or ga, wa, ga, or doko, whatever. It's like, yes, you know that word, but when you understand why they would say that and it just serves as a function in a sentence, that's when it becomes easier to understand. And then I would also say to learn kanji and really appreciate kanji. It's the best thing in the world. Because sometimes you can just like look at a sentence and you'll understand what it means. Like, I can't read it. I can't read it. Like, maybe I forgot the reading, but I already know that means like inshoku or something. Like, that's how you eat or drink, right?
Are you gonna live in Japan forever, or at some point you want to go back to your home country?
If you would have asked me a couple of years ago, I would have said yes. But I feel like the older I get, the more I want to be closer to my family and live in a more quiet place. But as long as I'm young, I want to stay here and enjoy all the things that Japan has to offer. And also, like, career-wise, you have a lot more options here, or like possibilities, chances that you will never get in a small country like Switzerland, especially. Like, when I came here, I still had Swiss savings. Now that the Japanese yen is low, it was like living like a king a little bit, especially as a Swiss person. But when I got home to Switzerland for a holiday,
And spend.
yeah, I couldn't spend any money because the yen is so weak and Swiss franc is very strong and everything is expensive. Like, my mom had to pay for everything. I was like poor.
Good question. Probably. We'll see. We'll see what happens. My visa still got some time on it. But yeah, I love Japan. I left and I came back. That's how much I love it. So probably get a nice wife and kid.
Yeah, at this point, I think so. Yeah, like I love my life in Japan. I feel like I live a full life in Japan at the moment. I've been able to make a home. I have lots of friends. I love learning every day. Like, that's part of my personality. It's like my dopamine hit. Like, learning is part of my dopamine hits. learning Japanese every day is part of that. It gives me joy. At the moment, short answer, yes, I think so. I hope my mom doesn't watch this because we haven't spoken about this yet.
To be truthful, like I love Japan. I've lived in Japan. My family's here. My friends are here. I've had some great memories here. But if I'm honest with myself, culturally, Japan's just not a great fit for me. We're slowly beginning to kind of be more comfortable with transitioning back to America.
Really?
But it's not too crazy. Yeah, I mean, I can continue living in Japan for a few more years. It won't kill me. I've already done almost 10.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, thank you for watching so far. How was it? That was interesting. For me, it's really interesting to interview people like them who've living in Japan long enough to talk about many things about the country. So I'm gonna try to interview Japan experts who have been in Japan many years. I'm trying my best to make any kind of videos, dating, Japan experts. If you have lived in Japan long enough to talk about many things about the country, please share your experience in the comments. Okay, anyway, thank you for watching. If you like this video, click like button. Please subscribe to my channel. If you have any question you want me to ask people in Japan, please leave the comment too. See you next time.